In today's video, we're going to talk about payment for order flow and why I think that it has to be abolished. Stay with us. This video is about to get bumpy. Hey, welcome back, and everything you're about to hear in this video is my own personal opinion. And as such, it might be inaccurate, might be wrong, might be the ramblings of a madman, and it does not represent the position of Tipranks or any other company. Now look, payment for order flow was around for a long time. In fact, the guy who invented it, you probably heard of multiple times. His name is Bernie Madoff. Now, that alone is kind of reason enough to cancel that. But let's focus on the actual factuals here. And let me tell you a story. You know how the fiduciary duty of a lawyer, if they represent somebody in the court of law, is to try to achieve the best possible outcome for their client. Nothing else matters, like the Metallica song. They absolutely have to fight for the best possible outcome for their client. Not their career, not their relationship with the DA office, not anything. Just one thing, client's best interest. They have a duty, they have a law, they have an absolute mission to save their client, protect their client, and get their client in the best position. However, having said all that, imagine this weirdo world where the lawyers that represent defendants, let's say public defenders, are getting paid by the DA's office. In fact, the DA office pays them based on the amount of compromises and settlements they can get without going to court. So in this case, the lawyer's fiduciary duty is in question. There's a conflict of interest. On the one hand, he's fighting for the best interest of his client. On the other hand, he kind of wants to get that money from the DA, and settling would be much more lucrative for him financially. So in this situation, would you trust the lawyer to fight for you and not think about the money? I know I wouldn't. But hey, maybe there are good people out there. But for the most part, creating that conflict of interest is not a good idea. That's why we don't have the DA's office pay lawyers. That's exactly why we should have payment for order flow, because the way payment for order flow works is kind of ridiculous. We have these brokerages, and there's a few of them, basically taking orders from retail investors and routing these orders in mass to market makers. So market makers get this massive inflow of orders, which they can execute one against each other. Basically, the idea is they're getting plus and minuses. Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. So they never have to deal with this massive orders coming in from an institutional client. And that's why these market makers are paying companies like Robinhood for order flow. They're paying them to send the business their way. It's essentially like the tour guide example. You know, when you go abroad and you take a tour guide, so the tour guide is going to take you to a souvenir shop, you know he's getting paid by the souvenir shop. It's not necessarily the cheapest souvenir shop. It's not necessarily the best souvenir shop. It's most likely the souvenir shop that pays him the most amount of money. Same thing happens with Robinhood and such, other brokerages as well, and market makers. The same thing. Now, why did I use the lawyer example? Because the same companies, brokerages like Robinhood, have a fiduciary duty to you to give you the best execution. If you want to buy a stock of Tesla, for example, they got to find the best available price and get you best execution. However, in the payment for order flow situation, they're not even looking for that. They're just sending all their orders to the market makers because they're getting paid. And in turn, the market makers, because they have to pay for order flow, are actually skimming off the top because they're not also giving you great execution. So instead of giving you the stock for $700, they'll give it to you for $702, and they'll pick up $2 so they can actually recuperate the cost of the payment for order flow. The whole commission-free trading that Robinhood and such created with payment for order flow is another way to shift the fees. Instead of from you paying cash, you're paying through execution. And the problem is that while you pay the same amount of money with hidden fees instead of direct fees, you're also giving away your personal information. Now, these market makers have all the information in the world about all these retail investors and where the money's headed, the stop losses, the limit orders. Every single piece of information like that is worth a lot of money for institutional investors. They're essentially playing chess against you, but they know your next move. Imagine that. Now, for me, I'd much rather pay a fee or a subscription-based or anything that doesn't involve sending my information elsewhere, especially not to people who trade against me, because this is a zero-sum game. Because whenever somebody had a great trade, that means somebody on the other side had a shitty trade. And most often than not, retail investors are the butt of the joke. They're usually the patsy. They're usually the ones who get screwed by institutional investors. That's because they have more money, more access to information, etc., etc. Now add the fact that we're actually literally selling our information to them for peanuts. I think this has to stop, and I absolutely agree with Gary Gensler and the SEC for looking into this, because think about it this way. Australia, UK already banned this practice. It's illegal. The EU is about to ban it as well quite soon. There's absolutely no reason that payment for order flow will remain a legitimate practice. And trust me, Robinhood, etc. have a lot of other ways to make money. They don't have to have payment for order flow. They will survive. They will adjust. I don't think anybody will go out of business. But our life as retail investors will get a lot better because we deserve fair and honest fee reporting and fair and honest best execution. Now, it's my opinion. Let me know below if you agree or disagree with me. I'd love to hear your opinion. We'll see you in the next video of Tipranks.